Well, hello, this is Pastor Mark again, coming to you live from the library of the pastor at Westminster Presbyterian Church. I wanted to start a new series in our little 5-10 minute devotionals, this time on the Beatitudes from the Sermon on the Mount, a sermon, best sermon that was ever preached by Jesus himself. I wanted to go through just the Beatitudes, so let's start with the first. Blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Where can true happiness be found? Everybody's looking for it, but it seems like not many people actually find it. Really what Jesus is saying in the Sermon on the Mount, and in the Beatitudes in particular, is this is the way to find true joy. The way of the kingdom, the way of the Beatitudes, the way to be happy, the way to be blessed is through walking with me in the kingdom of God, living in the kingdom of God. You see, the kingdom of God comes to us in a person, and his name is Jesus. And the kingdom of God continues to come to us and is built up in us as Jesus, King Jesus, continues to do his work within us. And this kingdom is a present reality. We're there now. So Jesus is also speaking to his disciples and those who are following him. He is teaching what life in the kingdom of God is like, what it means to walk with God. What are the character traits or the attributes that the Spirit of God is working within you? So he describes the kingdom and says, here are the blessings of the kingdom, and here are the character traits of those who walk with me in the kingdom of God. So these words are meant for Christians, and it is meant for all Christians. In fact, all of these words, all of these attributes are meant for all Christians. We can't pick and choose and say, well, I'll be meek, but I'm not going to be a peacemaker. This is who the kingdom of God, the people of the kingdom are like, and they develop all of these attributes. It's a total package. And some people think that these Beatitudes are just natural dispositions. You know, some people are naturally weepier than others, or meeker or diffident, and that's what he's talking about. He really isn't. We aren't to confuse natural character traits with these kingdom traits. These kingdom traits are what God himself works in us by his Spirit. It is the Spirit of God working in us and developing us into be a new creature. So the Beatitudes are really blessings pronounced upon the obedient children of God. So what poor in spirit, what does that mean? Well, let's start with what it isn't. To be poor in spirit doesn't mean to be spiritually poor. There is no inherent blessing in being poor. Now, there can be blessings that come to you from poverty, but poverty itself isn't a blessing. It doesn't make you more spiritually mature. It is not a spiritual, it's a spiritual benefit perhaps to be poor, but it isn't a blessing. Anyway, the poor, all of them, can be just as consumed with wealth and with money as the rich. So Jesus is not referring to spiritual or to financial poverty, but he is referring to spiritual poverty. We might loosely call it humility. To be poor in spirit doesn't mean to be depressed. Some people interpret it that way. One who is dispirited. In fact, some people think the whole Christian life is to be glum and to be serious and to be somber. That's what life in the kingdom is like. It is to be sad and to be depressed. In fact, there was a young girl who had grown up in a church that taught that, and she saw a horse for the first time. And she said, "Oh, Daddy, that horse must be a Christian." "Really, dear, why is that?" "Because it has such a long face." To be poor in spirit also doesn't mean to be loudly humble. Have you ever met people like this? "Oh, I feel terrible today. I am just crushed with my own iniquities today. I am just blasted by my own sin. Oh, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me." It's sort of the Eeyore version of Christianity. But true humility doesn't recognize itself. There was a group of men once who were talking around, smoking cigars, drinking, and they were talking about their attainments in spirituality and how much they had attained and how much they had achieved. And the conversation went on for some time, and it was noticed that there was one person in the corner who wasn't saying a thing. So they went to him and said, "Well, man, what's your problem? Why aren't you speaking? Have you no sanctification?" And his response was, "Well, none to boast of, and I hope I never will." True humility is not self-seeking. So the question I want to leave you with today is, are you poor in spirit? Has the truth of God made you humble?